I let my hand rest on his side, then stood going to Henry. The machine turned this way and that. The tubes were now empty, and Henry was now stable. Henry was now beginning to awake. "He will be all right. He is very much stable," Mila said. I took Henry's hand as he groaned slowly as he awoke. The machine was over him as well, pulling tubes out and stapling the holes after administering a numbing liquid. "Hey, Henry, how are you doing?" "The voices, the pain, they're gone." "That's wonderful, Henry." Henry's eyes began to adjust, then in a whisper he said, his eyes filled with tears, No, it's not." With unfound strength, Henry's eyes widened, and he lifted his arm quickly to the machine's arm, ripping its scalpel arm from its socket, stabbing it into his neck over and over again. It was too late to stop him. I began to hold his neck to hold off the bleeding. "Go," bubbled out of his mouth. Filled with bright red blood, he shoved me away. The machine was working frantically to save him once more, but within 30 seconds he truly was gone. I did as he said, slipping on the spilt blood on the floor, the door to the room unlocked. Dr. Furnius was now draped in Henry's steaming blood. I ran into Colt, who took my arm. We ran from the waiting room to the locked door. T looked horrified as she looked to Meal, then to us. A newfound determination filled her, and she ran to us, unlocking the door for us with her card. "Follow me," her words trembling. We followed her through so many corridors as she unlocked and locked doors behind us. I looked as she took my hand to guide us. All I could see was an arm covered in red. I almost couldn't recognize it as my own. "Why are you helping us?" Colt asked as I was too shocked for words. My legs were barely able to hold myself from falling. "Because I was ordered to do so by Miel. She is my teacher and friend, and also I want to," T continued. We went through a few more dark tunnels. These tunnels are so old they lead to the incinerators that are only filled on Tuesdays, and they burn the week long on their own till not even ash is left. Beyond them is a door to the outside. With that, she opened the door to the incinerator room door. It was not what either of us suspected. It wasn't a machine or fires burning inside ovens. It was lava. The underneath of the hospital was a volcano. All the walls were metal. The room's heat waves filled our vision. It was hard to breathe. What we could breathe smelt terrible. Yellow thickly coated the metal walls. Colt stopped us, taking his finger to the yellow upon the walls, powdering it between his fingers, smelling it, then licking it before spitting it out. "Sulfur," he murmured. "Get out of here. I will follow soon," he said firmly. "How will you find us? I can't leave you." Colt kissed my head. "Go with T for now. She's the one we can trust. I need to handle something here. I will meet you at the zoo." T looked calmer now. "When you leave here by this door, stay straight. You will see a path that leads to trees. If you go that direction, you will find the zoo easily. Look for the nautical signs. We will be there till you come." Colt looked to her with some respect. "If I'm not there in an hour's time, you continue on. You get my wife and yourself out of here. Mac will be with the other horses at the edge of town, as he was instructed to do at the sound of trouble. Don't come back this way. Go back to the herd." With that, I held him tight as T grabbed my arm and pulled me along with her. Colt shut the door behind himself, his brow already covered in sweat, as was ours. "Come on, he knows what he's doing. He will be okay," I kept saying to myself. T took off her green jacket after looking around. "Put this on." Then she tore the bottom of her underdress and began wiping my face. I could see the cloth turning dark red. The sweat felt slimy. "Listen to me. You're probably already in shock, but I need you to concentrate on me, okay? Breathe slow." I hadn't noticed till she said that my breathing was slightly frantic. I took a deep breath. "Good. Now I'm going to take your arm and we are going to walk to the zoo, understand?" I nodded, but still instinctively wanted to pull away from her as she grabbed and clung to my arm. It wasn't the first time I had seen such a gruesome death, but it was also the first that I would call a dear friend, or rather friends. T held to my arm and began chatting away like all was well, and for some reason no one was paying us much mind. She led me calmly, my legs felt so heavy and weak, my mind was screaming in all directions to go back for Colt. We made it to the zoo without any encounters and into a dark building that said Nautical Life. Inside was sounds of electrocutions, and the bubbles from the liquids of all colors made me feel dizzy, humming, and sounds of half-animal, half-human noises, came from all directions. The kid in me wanted to put my head down on my knees to block it all out, but living in the herd, I knew I had to be able to run or fight in a moment's notice. If the options arose, I was going to fight because I wasn't leaving Colt behind. I was bent down on one knee, the other foot ready to pick me up quickly. One hand to the floor, the other on my knee. My mind was racing with thoughts, my eyes searching the movements for anyone coming or Colt, when a rather large-looking cat with slightly long fur came up from the darkness, rubbing up against my hand on the floor. I don't know why, but I rubbed its head once I noticed its round ears. Then I realized this wasn't a large house cat. It was a lion cub, or at least it looked like a lion cub. Its fur was longer and striped with white paws. The mom had to be close by, its tail flicking in my face. "Oh, sorry, not used to the tail yet. Have you seen my mom?" it whispered, as if knowing I was hiding. I shook my head no as it cocked its head. Without another word, it laid down beside me. The voice was that of a child, no robotic sound to it at all. It just laid there purring, swishing the end of its tail slightly beside me. I heard a loud boom that shook the cement floor, then screaming of people. What was happening? Did Colt do something, or was it the town trying to find us, or something else entirely? T was by the tanks holding a clipboard she had found and a pen as though she was inspecting. The door opened and I held my breath. It was the outline of a man, but clearly not Colt. This man was larger, out of breath with blood running down the side of his face. "T, what are you doing here?" Still out of breath. "Dr. Meal told me to start duties here. She wanted me to decide if I would like to work this department. I was waiting actually on her as instructed, but then I heard the loud sound and wasn't sure what was going on. Do you know?" The man still holding the door open. Nearing putting all his weight to it to hold himself up. It was an explosion from the fire, strangest thing. The fire started near the incinerators, but it was in the tank storage room. We think the visitors did this? Have you seen them? The last I saw of them, they were with Dr. Meal awaiting the procedure on their friend Henry. The man was catching his breath. We haven't had any further contact from Dr. Meal or Dr. Threepwood. I'm afraid the blast might have gotten them. No. T started to cry profusely, dropping the clipboard and falling to her knees. "Please, T, don't cry. I can't stay with you right now. I have to keep looking for the ones who did this. Please, there is still hope. Look, stay here and lock the door. I'll be back as soon as I can. Don't let anyone in but me, okay?" T looked up slightly and nodded. "Good girl, I'll be back soon as I can. Try to attend to your duties here while you wait. It will keep your mind busy." T nodded again, starting to stand. The man said, "Good girl, now you make sure to lock this door soon as I'm gone." Again, this man must have really cared for T. T wiped her eyes and nodded, standing slowly, going toward the door with the man as she murmured, "Do be careful, Arnold." He nodded, then tiredly left, shutting the door behind him. She did lock the bolt now that she was told to. Her story would hold up if she went back. I noticed her paying some mind to the papers on the clipboard, almost in a diligence. Then she looked over to where I was hiding and walked over to a stack of books, muddling through them. She found an older one and handed it to me. Page. It was a brown leather book, small but heavy. It could fit in your hand but barely, with as thick as it was. I opened it, only needing to turn a few pages. The page I got to, the first paragraph, ripped my soul back to the days of Harlt's. Through all our experiments and great accomplishments in this study, we have found a way to successfully transfer the thoughts into its host, but the downside is the brain still feels the pain of whichever the patient felt before death. We have tried numerous tests, and no medicine seems to accomplish any relief to the parasitic patient, eventually ending in maddening and turning more into the host and being lost somewhere within. As I was reading, I heard the knob turn, and T looked at me before cracking open the door. The figure came in. Smells of smoke filled the room quickly. The figure rested up against the door, sliding down, coughing a few times into his sleeve. I could tell it was Colt. I jumped up, going over to him, bending to see his face. Other than the smoke and his suit-covered skin, his eyes piercing, he seemed okay. "I'm all right," he cleared his throat. Colt was almost reading my mind. He spat beside him as I stood, holding out my hand. He took it, pulling himself up. "What's going on out there?" I asked as T made sure the door was relocked. "Caused a fire." The children, are they okay? What about Dr. Meal? Colt looked over to T. The kids got out just fine, made sure of that myself. Meal should have got out just fine, the hospital not so much. And for good reason. I gritted my teeth, clenching the book in my hand toward Colt. This place, it's worse than we thought. Colt nodded, understanding the weight of the situation. We had to act quickly, but the path ahead was fraught with danger.